Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of Unfinished Business. Today I'm here with my dear friend Timo Oliveau.
Hello.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, shit, I'm super far from my mic. Yeah, no, Timo Oliveau, perfect. I appreciate all of the weird pronunciations of it.
All right, Timo. Who the fuck are you? Why should people care and listen to this?
Well, I'm French, so that's already a great reason. And second, the goal of my life is quite precise and quite defined, and I want to have. I'll define it later in the podcast, but I want to have as much large-scale positive impact as possible. It's actually a bit more precise and exciting than this, in my opinion. And I really enjoy practical philosophy, so hopefully we're going to be able to deliver some value and some weird stuff in this podcast.
Amazing. Yeah, what's funny is that actually I think you and Ajay were my first guests on this podcast that ended up not happening before quarantine. This was before the pandemic. I think it was like late 2019. And now you're guest number 10, and I think Ajay will be right after you.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's been a while.
Yeah.
What have you been up to since over the past year and a few months that I haven't seen you?
Can I ask a weird, cheesy question first?
Yes, sir.
How are you feeling, man? In 4 adjectives.
Okay. Is a little an adjective, or is it?
No, like name emotions or like feelings, basically.
A little tired.
Yeah.
Otherwise, almost everything else is looking up.
All right.
Yeah. So things are not bad at all. Things are pretty good.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. This podcast is ramping up quite quickly, actually. So I've released 5 episodes, but I'm recording the 10th one right now.
Cool.
I think by the end of next week, I'll have enough episodes recorded to have basically a runoff of 2 months of releasing every week. So that's pretty good.
Wait, what's a runoff of 2 months?
As in, not have to record for 2 months and still be able to release once every week.
Ooh, that's kind of good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Actually, I'm uploading every day because with the clips, it's at least once a day, basically.
Wait. Oh, you're doing. Wait, no. Yeah.
So
I get it. You upload it once a day.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Can I share how I'm feeling? For some reason, I want to share how I'm feeling.
For sure. Yeah.
I feel. Right now, I feel a bit. For some reason, it's something I never say. By the way, I feel a bit overwhelmed, slightly stressed.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you say that before.
Yeah.
I say it quite often, but I've never heard you say it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like kind of grateful, and yeah. That's the main ones.
What are you overwhelmed about, though?
I guess it's because I have a lot of things going on right now, and it's not as clear, and I mean, yeah, it's not as going forward as clearly and easily as it could be, because I'm kind of like doing classes, but then I have like a few mental battles about that I think are interesting, but
Mental battles about classes.
Yeah, dude. I'm right now. I mean, look, I'm having a few classes right now. The Hannes class, I really like Hannes. But I mean, I don't care about what we're learning right now, and I'm really mainly taking the class for credits.
I never gave
zero
a shit
offense to everyone, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I never gave a shit about insurance. I always really, really enjoyed Hannes's classes.
Now you want to start fucking one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually launching an insurance company, which I never thought I would
Yeah, me neither.
say. So that's pretty cool.
And And yeah, so like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm having quite a few plans in my head because like going forward, getting the diploma. By the way, I kind of want to start later. People will learn a bit more about this, but likely, I want to start later an education system, hopefully, in which, I mean, I'm working on this, in which, well, one of the things that happens is that you don't need a diploma. We don't give you a specific diploma. We give you, I believe, things that are much more interesting than this, much more precise, much more helpful, and much less institutionalized. And so, like, it's kind of like, you know, the dude starting the education company that says, hey, you don't need a diploma. Like, don't get a diploma. And then that he fucking has a diploma. It's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's probably not that important. And yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit scared I might get caught off in the like, you know, like getting a, how do you say that, internship afterwards. And like maybe like it's a great internship and like, oh, like, you know, potentially you get employed. And so I get there and like then in the fucking year I'm like, shit, I had a project, I had a deadline for in 3 years and this has not moved at all. And
so yeah, that's your worry about getting involved in someone else's dream, basically being an intern at someone else's company. Or
yeah. And I think there's another thing that is very irrational. And probably, yeah, like emotionally, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like me getting my diploma right now would mean like taking a lot of classes that would be quite redundant for me right now, like doubling on a few classes. And when I'm saying I don't care about fintech, it's not true. I mean, it's interesting. You know, I'm learning new things and yeah, I'm learning quite a few interesting things. Like I just learned about how Kenya is like a fucking like booming fintech hub, and I was like, what? And I just learned a few things, but really in terms of the amount of interest useful things for my projects learned per hour, it would have been much higher, I think, if I was not taking the class and just learning things by myself or just applying what I'm in my opinion supposed to apply, and therefore learning more. So the opportunity cost for this class is actually higher than taking the class, which if I was a rational economic being, I would not take the class, not if you don't take into account the credit. And so, yeah, I'm kind of working for credits for a diploma that I hope I will never use because I do not want ever to get employed somewhere. I will find this as a, you know, partly as a failure, and hopefully I don't need investment, though, I mean, from other people than customers, though you don't know that. But then again,
but that's okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with investment?
I mean, I don't know exactly. Look, you know, it's probably not that big of a deal, this one. But I don't want to build a company that is driven by profit, in the sense that I don't think there's anything wrong to be driven by profit. I mean, especially as long as you do large-scale positive impact, or that's what your main aim is. But the problem is with investors or with other people driven by profit, and with yourself, you might find yourself driven by the profits at times more than you are driven with a positive impact. And so you might find yourself doing choices that, you know, are better for the profits and not as good for the large-scale positive impact. So I'd like to found something that would be both capable of growing very fast, and not donation based at all, like with a real business model, but in which you might not get blinded by the profits. So yeah, like to reduce that risk.
Okay, can I take a step back first and come to today, who Timo is today, and also who I am today. So I think, you know, I think I've made this observation, and a lot of people around us have made this observation, that you and I are not very focused people.
Dude. Yeah, okay. No, yeah. I get that. Honestly, I get it.
Yeah, so I basically, I mean, over the past 6 months, I think I've switched like 5 different career paths. You know, like I've gone from almost launching a company to then completely abandoning that company, wanting to just go full time on YouTube, and then potentially working as a consultant, innovation consultant at a bank, to then starting a podcast, to then being a podcast strategy consultant, and now
fintech.
to someone who wants to start an insurance tech company.
Makes sense.
What the fuck?
That's a great question. That's often a great question to ask.
Yeah, like I was actually talking to Hannes yesterday, and he was like, "Listen, the issue you have is not talent or capability of starting the company or building it up. It's a matter that the moment you get bored with something, you just move along." And I had a conversation on this podcast with Jonathan, where basically I came to a realization that every time things get hard, every time things to get to a point where it gives me imposter syndrome, I just abandon it, move on to the next thing.
What do you mean imposter syndrome, though? I mean, I know what it is, but like, what do you mean in your case?
Whenever, for example, with Kando, this startup I was trying to start last year, I never launched anything because I never had the courage of getting past the challenges of building the product, and then once I have something built, going to someone who can make it better, cooperating with them, being co-founder. Same with other stuff. Hell, like video editing, which is now something that I'm starting to find, not that difficult. Used to be a nightmare for me for years, and I never.
But you really liked it, didn't you?
When I actually wrapped my head around it, yes. But many times, I mean, I started editing when I was 13, but it was always like amateurish shit. It's still amateurish shit, but every time I wanted to get past that amateurish shit, even now, there's something in me that just cuts my willpower short and stops me from going any further, and then I have to distract myself with some other project or something else.
Ooh. So every time you get more into the... Okay, let me try to ask then. Why do you think parts of you would want to stop you there? Like, what do you think parts of you would want to make you feel the exact way that you feel when you get to a point where you're like, oh, this is getting serious?
I'm not sure what you mean. Could you repeat that?
Imagine if you're okay. So look, okay. I'm trying to apply this framework. See if it can help. Imagine that part of you. Like, okay, so there's a part of you. That's my assumption.
Yes.
And with that model, whatever it's worth. I'm assuming that there's a part of you that actually wants you to feel this way when you get to that point.
To feel like I want to give up, basically.
Yeah. Why? Like, can you find any sense as to why would a part of you want you to give up at this point? Or like want you to feel the way that you feel at this point?
I don't know where it comes from. Probably something rooted in my childhood. Probably something with the education system, actually. I don't want to like play victim here, but probably something that put that mindset in me during my, however many years of education I've had. Well, like 14 years now. I don't know where it stems from, like off the top of my mind right now, but this is the biggest issue that I want to work through over the next few months. Okay. I'm going to be getting coaching from our mutual acquaintance, Natalia. So
really, she's great, man.
Yeah. So I haven't reached out yet, but I was told that she is happy to do it. So I think that would be pretty cool.
Cool.
But I actually want to hear from your side. What makes you jump from project to project?
It's not really the case anymore that much, actually. Happily, I used to really jump from project to project a lot, and now like in the past, so number one, I've been lucky enough that I have had for specific projects. I did not feel the same way that you did when it got serious. I mean, when it felt like it got more serious. Did not feel like I want to give up.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing that I not jealous in a good way, I guess. I
I
envy
mean,
you about. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
fair.
like you and Hossein, I would say, are
Yeah.
do make me envy them a little envy you guys a little bit because you can actually get past the challenge. I don't know. I guess I'm getting a lot better at this, but I'm not good at. This is the problem. There you go. Now I've got the answer. Sorry to interrupt, but I think I've got the answer to your previous question. Now, I'm not necessarily good at. I'm not good at using Google. Basically, that's the short form of it. I'm not good at finding the answers on the internet, or at least
What in
finding
the fuck do you mean?
the path to finding the answers on the internet.
So how is that related to like? Wait, are you trying to say like, I got your answer to your question? That are you referring to the question that
That
I
what
was
makes you
saying?
stop and move on.
Yeah, like why
Yeah.
would you want to stop? Yeah,
Yeah, because let's say Python, for example.
yeah,
Python I started 3 years ago, and I still don't know jack shit because the moment I watched a few basic tutorials and I actually wanted to build something myself, I realized that I have no idea how to actually read this code. So as a result, I have no idea how to read people's code on the internet. So I can't even understand what other people are doing to solve the problem I have. So then I just give up and move on to the next thing. That's been my process with pretty much every new learning and every new skill.
Wait, no, but I'm confused. Like, okay. The way I understood it, to be honest, I might have phased out like for like a part of it. The way I understand it was that you learned a bit of Python, but then when you were trying to solve your problems with it, you looked at code from the internet. You had no clue what it meant or how to
Well, I
read
couldn't
it.
really read my own code. I mean, Python, I'm a little better at reading the code. But Flutter, for example, I cannot read Flutter code properly. I'm
Fair.
not good at reading it enough to be able to even understand my own code that well.
Fair.
So, I mean,
Uh,
that will take time. But anyway, it's just a matter of like any skill I
And
want to
so,
learn.
so basically, did you just say like you hit a difficult point? Because that does not sound like, oh, it's getting serious. It's going so well. It's actually
No. I don't mean it's going so well. Actually, if things are going well, I'll stick with it. There are instances that I give up on things that are going well, but there's normally an external reason. But mentally, when things get a little too difficult and I am alone on it, then I just give up.
Okay, a good way to solve it, I think, is meaning. Like to determine what you truly think that you okay. I mean, okay. Here's why I don't have this problem. Hopefully, in the past, it was, I guess, like passion and. I mean, okay. So I had these two big projects in the past that were like kind of a game design project, as in for the people that know the video game Minecraft. Probably, I think it's the most sold video game in the world right now. Something like that.
No, it's still GTA 5 actually, but Minecraft.
No fucking way. It could have been Tetris. No fucking way. It's GTA 5.
GTA 5 is the highest grossing piece of entertainment ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, it's a really good game though. I haven't played it that much though.
No, I've spent probably like 3 months, 4 months of my life on that.
On it, like hour after hour.
Not back to back, but in total, I think I've spent somewhere on the order of 2 to maximum 3 months of my life.
Fair. Yeah, I've spent. No. Oh, so Grand Theft Auto is 2, but it's much more expensive though. So we can give them that because. Obviously if something is like Minecraft was $20 or $25, Grand Theft Auto was probably like 60, 70 depending on the platform.
No, now it's, and there's microtransactions. So
fair. And so Minecraft was 200 million sales and GTA 5 was 140 million, then followed by Tetris with 100 million. That's according to Wikipedia, by the way. The sources are down there, but I'm too lazy to check them right now. Then because the information is not that important to. Anyways, Wii Sport number 4, Wii Sports, because the Wii, it came with the Wii every time. Then it's Players Unknown Battleground with 70,000 million. Super Mario Bros, which I'm surprised they put it there because it's licensed. I guess it's the first one. Yeah, NES on Nintendo Entertainment System. Number 7, Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow with 48 million. And then Wii Fit Plus on number 8. And then number 9, Tetris Nintendo. Oh, because number 3 was Tetris by EA. And number 10, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah.
Jesus.
There you go.
Ah.
Okay, Minecraft has this reputation and they do all the marketing around kids. People build fucking like historical kingdoms in it, and people like with Redstone build fucking computers in the game.
Yeah, Minecraft is like Lego on steroids, basically.
Yeah, basically. It's just that. And yeah, like I would, there's this block called a command block in which you can basically code like events that you can trigger with Redstone. Redstone is the in-game like thing that you can use to basically simulate. They are basically electronic components. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, like I would use these command blocks to like write in commands, basically scripting. I believe I'm correct to using this word. And yeah, like I would love game design. I really appreciated game design. Now he can't hear me because there's no problem. I can't hear you. And there you go. Now you can. They're all good because I have recorded it on the thing. But anyways, I was saying I would use all these command blocks and stuff to build maps. And then I was like, map making is lonely, and I went into servers because you can build a community and stuff. So we made 5 little mini games, and we had like I contacted a growing YouTuber. I was lucky because at the time, talked with him for a while. I really liked this guy. At the time, he had like 1,700 subs. Now he has like nearly 1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And no, he gave us a great he got us some people on our server, and yeah, we did these games. I actually the first burnout of my life, with as much as I hated school as I did, the first burnout of my life and the last one was working on the server because I was working too much. Burnout. Yeah. Because I was recoding the whole thing for the 3rd fucking time because like the files got corrupted at like 3rd time. Yeah. So yeah. So like that was a big project. It got like super fucking far. That was a big thing. Like another one is like a music album. It's actually technically not even out yet. I mean, it was out on SoundCloud, but like I've been reworking on it and like doing some other stuff. Wait a second,
you took down the album?
No, it's out on SoundCloud, but it's not on Spotify or Deezer or some stuff like that. I mean, Deezer's the French Spotify, no one knows it, but Apple Music and that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell people right now. So the album was called. What was it called again? Lenses. There you go.
Yeah.
Lenses by Name.
Yeah. Well, I hope I can. I don't know how it works. Names work on platforms such as Spotify, but I will. Hopefully, I can secure that name. Hopefully, you can have, because probably someone has this name already. So like, we'll see how that works. Maybe I'll be called His Name Is Name then, if it doesn't work.
His Name Is Then is pretty cool. His Name Is Name. Yeah. There you go. His Name Is Name. Okay, so.
And so, sorry, I didn't answer your question. Like, I talked about my fucking life. Like, like I didn't answer your question about being dedicated on one project. Look, the first project, the thing that got me like driven with it is that, I don't know, I was just so passionate about it. I just really liked it. Even if some days were really hard, like it really felt like working, but working on something you really love. The second one was, I had no clue the whole way. It was like a mix of sunk costs bias, as in, oh, I started this, I should not. And like my parents being like, oh, you started this. Like, and me even knowing that it was sunk costs bias, as in, the bias that makes you say, oh, I started it. If I don't finish it, like the work will have been wasted.
Yeah, of course.
Though what you don't understand is that the work that you did already is just done. That's the fucking past. Now, what do you do from now on? I mean, I could give examples of like, yeah. And I knew it was this, but like sunk cost bias kept me going for some reason, and probably some of it was like, I don't know, I some of it was like I wanted to have like credibility as someone that would make music, and it also was also the personal challenge of doing it, and yeah, because I mean, fucking like wow, okay. Okay, I have no clue how to talk. I mean, okay, I've been talking in ways of myself for this first part of this podcast that have been quite positive. I've not said many negative sides of some stuff like that. I was like talking about my achievements and shit like this. It's something I don't really know how to talk about yet. Like, should you shut the fuck up or like what? I don't know. But yeah, I was gonna say it's just on the album. It's like like lyrics writing, singing, performing, like I guess composition and arranging and whatever, and production, mixing and mastering. So I did all of this, and hopefully it's gonna be out soon, even if it's not a priority right now.
But you see what I'm saying, right? It's incredible that you're able to do all of these different things.
Yeah,
right? So far
the drive
not
was
been
not.
able
It was
to.
meaningless. I have no. Yeah, I don't know what kept me going. It's really weird. I'm sorry, I completely cut you off, man.
Yeah, no worries. It's actually a good segue. I mean, let me just the whole thing that I'm saying is that what I'm trying to do is be able to still pick up different skills and still improve myself as a person, but be able to focus on one project for at least 5 or 6 or 7 or a decade even.
And I guess the project to make the world a better place, right?
Well, that's the goal. Actually, let's start talking about this because
Cool.
you and I
Meaningful
tend
stuff
to
now.
you and I tend to be really interested and at the same time concerned about big challenges that face us as a species and even as a whole planet, as an ecosystem. Why do we worry about these things? Why do you? Because I've talked to a lot of other people about some of the worries I share, and most of them either treat it as like a party conversation or
Right.
just something that it's okay. You didn't really have to worry about asteroids hitting us or solar solar winds or whatever.
Because
Why do you worry about it?
All right, because it's the right thing to do. I mean, in my opinion. Notice what I just used. The right thing to do. It feels like I have like a duty, like to do. Like a duty. I hate this word, and I hope I never. Yeah, duty and have to and even should do kind of. Should do is kind of dangerous, but sometimes I guess it's okay. Are words that I think people should just, and I mean you can just ban of your language. When I say you is like the listener, because you'll just have a better life. And by I have to do this, you can change it to I choose to do this because, and then you'll understand why you're doing this, and you'll understand if it's worth it. If it's worth it, you'll have more meaning behind it. If it's not worth it, then just fuck it, like just don't. That's anyways. Sorry, I just got distracted. Why do they do this?
One of the most difficult conversations ever
Dude,
had, 'cause
dude,
it's two
my
people
God.
who keep phasing out in conversation.
I think it's because like a lot of them have the I guess in their head think like if I can't change it, why would I worry? I guess. Or they're just not used to change it. They don't see people around them change it. People work a lot, I think, by imitating other people. I think I do that less than the average. I think that also if you ask the vast majority of people, that they will say I do that less than the average. So which can kind of fuck up. But like I do actually believe that with that taken into account, I still do it less than the average. In the sense that this caused many issues with me in the past, but I think it's one of the things one of the traits I'm the most grateful for because it's helping me so much now.
When you say this, you mean you're referring to worries, or to
What do you
what
mean?
are you
What the fuck
referring
do you
to
mean?
by this?
By this in my I don't.
What do you do less than the average person?
I guess I do less stuff. I guess I have the tendency of doing stuff because other people do stuff less. I truly think this. I truly believe this, and quite significantly, actually.
So you want to do things that others aren't willing to pick up?
No. I want to do things if only I know why I'm doing them. Like I was a super annoying kid, dude. Like every single time my parents would be like, "Hey, like do this," or like "Let's go there," or something. I was like, "Why?" One day, my grandpa had like this big ass thing, super heavy or something. He was like, "Get out of there!" Like I just want to put it there or something. Like the moment where like you're gonna fucking die with this thing in your hands, and you just need a bit of like space to put it down. And I just stood there and I was like, why? But so yeah, like, I need to know why I'm doing something, which led me to where I am right now. I think I'm very grateful for that.
So, what is your what is this? Okay, let's start with this. What are your biggest worries that you see on a? Actually, I've never
Existential
heard your
humanity base.
small scale worries. What do you worry
You mean for me?
on a short term or day to day in your own personal life and the people around you, your country,
So
your
irrational.
community, whatever?
Super irrational, this.
Super
What do I worry
irrational.
about? Yeah, man.
You don't like irrationalities?
No, because no. I mean, it depends on the context. Art is nothing rational. I kind of like music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just got confused now. But no, like, what kind of things I'm worried about in my daily life? Getting like productivity, getting faster there, getting enough sleep. Should I just drop the fucking school I'm in or this thing I'm in or not and like do this? Okay, to be fair, I just got worried about. I don't know if I want to talk that much about it because, frankly, I could. But I have not defined yet if it's a good thing to talk about publicly or not. But like I was just talking to this girl earlier, and like at some point like we were doing really great, and at some point I worried because like we did this thing, and I was like, oh shit, like what does she think about me that much? But then I was like to myself, dude, why do you care that much also as well? But yeah. I mean, just I don't know. Like, I worry about like if I don't know, my parents are like having a fight or something. I don't want to. Dumb shit like with family stuff. Even if I'm with my brothers and sisters, like the atmosphere is really great. It's just I guess I'm probably not. This is not an exhaustive list, but first things that come to my mind.
So you use the word dumb for, let's say, family-related worries or personal life-related worries.
Yeah. My God.
Why? Why is it dumb to worry about? I mean,
No,
you would assume that as a human, that is.
It is like
in a normal, like for most of history, that would be basically the only thing that you would have to worry about, other than your country falling into war.
Yeah, I mean, because these are like you want to have good relationships with your family because. Like I guess it probably helps you get more protection, I guess, evolutionarily speaking. So it's probably like tied up into our genes, and it probably helps you, pass your genes better because you have more support around you or something. Harvard has done this study, if I'm not wrong, that is one of their longest studies to date, and it's still going on. It was looking at the biggest factors for happiness and life satisfaction. Again, if I'm not exactly sure about the precision of these words, but their conclusion was that the main factor that correlated the best, and maybe there were some causation links for it, I don't know, but that correlated best with like someone being satisfied in their life or happy in their lives was deep relationships. So that's probably something you want to have. Mm-hmm. I did actually this thing 8 months ago that was, not 8 months, more than like 14 months, something like that, when the pandemic started. So we're, to the people listening to this in the future, if you are, we are in 2021, and the pandemic is still going on, and about like are we in April?
Yes.
Okay.
At the end of April. So
okay, so soon the birthday of my little brother that's going to be 11. We just mentioned it actually earlier. Anyways, so last March, not like March of 2020, I went from Barcelona to France on a call because just taking the flight from the one day to the next, because it was cheap, no one was flying, and because it was probably a great move to do, and I really do not regret it. To be able to be confined in my home in France with my family and a garden.
Oh, yeah, instead of a room in Barcelona. I would have fucking died if I stayed in this.
Yeah, same.
Cities are not made to be lived in when you're not allowed to leave the house.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very small city. In China, it would be called definitely a town.
Of course.
For Chinese people, probably Barcelona is a tiny city.
Yeah, but European standards, let's say.
I'm super lucky because I live... do I want to say this? I don't know. Okay, by default, I won't say it. But I live in a cool place. It's a pretty
small
place.
Town somewhere in France, basically. Is that
exactly?
Yeah.
And it's like there's a lot of like greens going around. The air is quite good, and so yeah, that's nice.
It's really funny because as you don't even want to mention your town, right? Like my camera is filming the entirety of my background, so if someone has never been to Barcelona, they can probably triangulate where I am.
Yeah, I mean that's probably fine though, because this university, it's not your home place. And then I'm like, and I started at this moment when I got in France. I basically started this 8 months brainstorming onto what I wanted to do with my life, and big thing, and big mind map, and I ended up listing all of the problems in the world, the major problems. I wanted to list the major problems. I was like, there's going to be like 7, 8, or 11. There were actually like 129, something like that. And so then the question...
These were like concerns.
No. These were... I mean, you could say that. There were. The question was, like, what do I want to do? And then I told myself, look, if I can make a list of all of the problems in the world that we're facing, the most important ones, and then I could find ways to compress as much as possible, to compress solutions to solve these problems. So basically to have a few solutions that would solve a lot of these problems at once, or at least solve them 80%. If you're like familiar with the Pareto rule, a lot of the things that happen in the world are like, you know what I mean? And like 80-20 rule. And so, like if I could find that and execute it, that would be like, I would probably be quite satisfied with my plan. And the goal then was to like compress the solutions as much as possible, but then stop compressing when you think that the time scale is small enough that it would probably be a better thing to start working on it rather than find like other ways to compress it even more. So basically take a massive plan
and then work up from first principles what the fundamentals of this are, and then pick the smallest part and start with there.
I mean, kind of. Like you basically list your solutions. All solutions must be doable, obviously. And then what you do is that you just find a way. You just create a plan that you can start something at your scale or where you're at, or that can, in my case, that can start very small. That can potentially scale a lot. And then from this point on, you just build a plan, and where, the top of the mountain, the top of the plan is like how. Solving everything, and all of the steps to get there are like, when you look at every step, you're like, that's doable. Like, you can do this. So, and my conclusions for the goal of my life were priority number 1 being large-scale positive impact, and then scale that large-scale positive impact. What I call large-scale positive impact is I actually like have this moral compass that's very, very defined. We can talk about that later, but it's roughly utilitarianism if you people know about it. If you don't know about it, utilitarianism has a very, very bad name in terms of marketing, I think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it sounds like some dystopian, 1984 Brave New World kind of shit.
The sad thing though is just about like maximizing good, in the sense that you just want to do as much good as you can. Like someone that works with value, for example, will say like, I want to be a doctor because look, if I can help one life, and it's beautiful, it's like poetic, and you're like, oh, that's cool, that's, I was gonna say that's cute, but like thank you for doing this. But if I can help one life, it will have been worth it. And like someone that works more in a utilitarianism perspective is like, that's cool, but if you can help 1 million lives, that's 1 million times better. Basically.
Okay. But would you want to live your personal life with the same philosophy? Because obviously, if you're trying to solve problems, this is actually my next argument. Maybe I shouldn't move to it so fast, but I will. If you're trying to solve big problems, then obviously you want the time and the resources that you're spending on it to go as far as they possibly can, basically. So you would rather help 1 million people or 1 billion people than 10 people, unless the impact is so big that this, if you spread it around across 1 million, it wouldn't have as much impact. But if it might change 10 people's life as much as you would be able to change 1 million people's lives.
Yeah. Like there, I have a formula, actually. I have a math formula for myself for that. But yeah, like you calculate basically the amount of good you do per being, per individual being, even if individual is actually a weird concept that actually does not work. I mean, yeah, but I mean, does not, it has its limits, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we got it. Like a number of individuals times the amount of impact per individual, basically.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Off your list of, out of your brainstorm, basically, what would be the top 3 concerns or areas or problems that you want to solve, basically?
Okay, so I want to say something before I forget, which is basically the goal of my life has slightly changed since. It's exactly the same thing, but I just tried to put it one ambition level above, which I do not have the arrogance. I will not say, I'll solve this, because I can't predict the future, and this is a massive claim. But I know that I will work on it, because else I lose all my meaning, and I will probably feel like shit, or make myself feel like shit, because I truly believe that this is, I was going to say the right thing to do, but it does not sound exactly right. I don't know, but that morally, that's what I think should be done.
So your ego is, let's just say, highly tied to this, to solving big problems or to having large scale positive impact.
If it is, it's me making it tied to it. Yeah. On purpose, subconsciously or half subconsciously. I wouldn't say that my ego is the thing that's the most tied to it, but right now, for example, my progress on this project, my mental health is very tied to it. If I'm progressing fast, I feel fucking great.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, you can ask your question. Then I was going to go into the thing that you asked earlier, which was what are the most important problems you think that we're
tell me
on the list,
Yeah, tell me this.
Okay, so I actually get the mind map in front of me. Okay, so I have 2 categories of them. Basically, one being threats to humanity, and another one being problems that we have already right now, that, if we can solve them, that would be great. If that makes sense. Yep, fair, but okay. It's asking me for feedback, for NPS score. I think it's called like this. No, I don't want this mind map. I mean, anyways, I can answer without it. The most important ones, in the threats category, pandemics, DIY pandemics is probably one, or natural pandemics as well. Pandemics overall can make a lot of damage. We're seeing this with COVID, but this, I was worried about this before COVID. I have no proof, you believe it or not. It's not something crazy to say. It's not a crazy claim. So pandemics is a big one. AI is a big one, because the problem with AI is that if it's done in the way that, artificial superintelligence is done in a way that we don't it's not completely exactly aligned with what we want. Yeah, I mean, if it's not, you know how it works, but like for the people, if it's not exactly aligned, it could destroy everything if it wants to, because it's just so intelligent. And you're like, oh, but like, how can something, even if it's so intelligent, destroy everything? It does not have arms. It does not have access to missiles. It does not. But the thing is, number one, you're much more manipulable than you think. And once you have realized that, maybe you can like look in ways that you can get manipulated, and you'll get less manipulable. And so an AI that has access to the entirety of internet and that can understand the entirety of the internet, and being basically a massive amount of the human knowledge, being basically an expert in every field better than you are, is probably going to be able to manipulate the fucking living shit out of you, to make you do the things that it can't do directly, like unleashing a nuclear war if it needs to, but it's probably going to be something much more subtle or much different. And
that's actually the plot for, I don't know if you've read Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark.
No, I haven't.
But in that book, basically, so it's not a fiction book, it's a non-fiction book, but there is a narrative every few chapters about this team that creates this AGI, basically. The whole book is explaining why AGI could be threatening, but it had just to make it more interesting, every few chapters there's a story that follows that is about this team, this small team that in secrecy, basically, working for another company, built an AGI system. They didn't know how powerful it was. So eventually this AGI system started basically acting like one of the engineers' dead wife with her voice and with her face weird. And everything. So they had video calls. Like this guy had video calls with his dead wife, and it was so realistic that he was just seduced, basically. And then the AI manages to convince this guy to do some fucked up shit, which I won't spoil. Yeah. But that's how it breaks out.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think a way that it could completely fuck us up also as well would be, I mean, by the way, P.S., if it's more intelligent than every single one of us if it's more intelligent than you by a factor of, if it's an ASI, it's probably by a factor of, I don't fucking know how many zeros, but if it's an AGI, it might be just a bit more, or by a factor of like a number with a few zeros.
But I guess that doesn't really matter in the long term, as whenever it unlocks the possibility of improving its own code and,
but that's
managing
an ASI,
its own data.
In my definitions. Improving its own code is an ASI. Artificial superintelligence. AGI, in my definition, is artificial general intelligence, which means... But that's weird because like people seems to be... Like Musk, for example, seems to talk about AGI and not ASI.
But I think he means...
He probably means
by ASI. I don't think he distinguishes those two. Because, I remember, I think it was him saying this, that, the moment it's as smart as us, it will only be as smart as us for like 10 minutes. And then
that's an ASI. Yeah. So, okay. Whatever our definitions is what we... Yeah, okay, cool. So okay. And I'm confused now.
Yeah, you were moving...
The list is in front of me.
Third list.
We had... artificial superintelligence. We had so they're not going to be very ranked here. We had pandemics. By the way, DIY pandemics is really like one of the freakiest TED Talks I've ever seen. Probably the one was.
You're concerned about DIY pandemics?
Yeah.
And
like,
I mean, I don't know what your stance is on COVID. Do you think that COVID was a DIY pandemic?
Look, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm not an expert, so I won't say I don't know.
I hope
by
that's all I can say, basically.
Same. I don't know. Apparently, it was close to like a lab. I just don't know. And by default, I guess I'm considering it as a natural pandemic. And
would the third issue that you see be climate change, or
so?
I'm
like
gonna
maybe indirect, maybe indirect consequences of the climate change, but I don't see the climate change as the most threatening one in terms of like in the next century.
Really?
I don't.
You don't see climate change as the biggest threat of the next century?
Of this century?
The next.
In terms
of
if you count it in terms of millions of. Oh no! It depends. If you only count it with the humans, then no. If you count it with like all beings on Earth combined, then probably yes.
Well, all
And
beings
with
on Earth
ASI.
combined, because we sort of rely on the rest of the beings on Earth for our livelihood.
Yeah, but also as a saying that I personally, so my personal opinion is that there's no reason for us to assume that we are sentient as human beings and not like animals that are so close to us, like chimpanzees, for example. And then if you say that for chimpanzees, why wouldn't it be true for a cow? And why would it be true for kind of everything? Now, I'm not, in my current stance, I do not assume that, some people say that every single species is sentient on the level that we are. I don't know. Obviously, like no one knows. I mean, as far as I know. The problem is with this, like I think there are two problems with this. Number one, there's this problem with individuality that I mentioned earlier. Like as a human being, you're much less of an individual than you think you are. Like parts of your decisions, for example, are taken by your gut bacteria. And then like there has been experiences where people like got this mid part of their brain cut. And so like part of them like did have decisions, and then another one like had another decisions that they were not aware of, and so they were like trying to stop their hand from doing something. That came from, I think, Homo Deus or Sapiens. I don't remember.
I think this was Homo Deus, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And so that's weird. And plus, like, then what are your like cells like or something? I personally think, in my opinion, every single being that has three conditions. Number one, it can detect. Number two, it can process this detection, what it has detected. Number three, it has gone through a process like evolution, in which notions of good and bad, at least for its own survival, but notions of good and bad has been implanted into it. Why am I saying notions of good and bad? Well, it's pretty simple. If you're going to have someone that does not give any shit whatsoever about being burned or about having sex, versus someone that hates being burned and loves having sex, well, you're probably going to have someone on the, person B that I described last is probably much more likely to pass on their genes, because the first person say they're not, like, they don't care about pain, they don't care about death, something, they're probably going to commit suicide or do something dumb because, like,
incels, basically. You're describing incels.
I have no clue what an incel is.
It's an involuntary celibate, basically guys who can't get laid because they're...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like if you can't feel pain, pain is really, really useful. We hate it, but that's because like we want to remember that. Let's not do that again, because it's dangerous for me. Most of the time, then we have chronic pain and stuff like that. So then like we can see that evolution kind of puts into people or beings these notions of good and bad. Even I actually read a book on plants because I was like, oh, like if I just get vegetarian, like then is it all good? Like, or vegan, is it all good? Because like, okay, like my first assumption
for a while, telling everyone that it's better. You are basically a higher moral human if you only eat plants.
Did I say that to people?
You didn't use the exact wording, but you basically implied it.
That's possible, yeah. I mean, because the thing is, I wouldn't say that you're a better person. I mean, depending on your definition of a better person. For example, I do not think, okay, if you consider that animals are, if you assume that animals are sentient, and you assume that they feel, maybe you can assume that they feel as much, maybe you can assume that they feel like, I don't know, if you say that you feel as much as like how smart you are, which I don't think it's like, then like why would, like, that's another conversation, like why would you say that? But you
don't have to be necessarily that smart or conscious to still
to feel
pain and suffer.
Yeah,
because
so
what your
if
consciousness,
you just assume
your consciousness is not the experiences, what's creating the experience,
and also that
aware of
that would mean that if you have someone dumb, they are less valuable than some. I mean, you can kill them better than. I mean, yeah, it brings some fun, ethics exercises. But like if you assume that animals are sentient, and then you look at like the meat industry and shit like that, you know, like most of our meats, if I'm not wrong today, the vast majority of our meat is like done in like these big ass factories in which like these animals that did not evolve for this, because this is extremely recent, are like just made into fucking like one place and like fucking sleep in their shit. And like, I mean, anyways, like in my opinion, it would probably be like kind of like life torture, their life, something like that, or like they would probably numb themselves at some point. But
they're basically destroying the dignity. It's taking the dignity out of their lives. That's not a life at all.
It's pretty hardcore.
A zombie that feels a lot of pain. That's fucked up thing.
Yeah. Basically, I guess at some point they must like numb themselves in some way to protect. I guess, I don't know.
No, because I mean, in sapiens there's this chapter about this issue of how animals are treated basically in factory farms, and you know they keep giving birth, like the cattle keep giving birth as soon as they can. Basically, the moment this baby is born, this calf is born, a few days later they're pregnant again, and the calf is separated from them immediately. That calf grows up without its mother in complete isolation in a shitty environment, dirty environment. The mother gets depressed and starts banging its head to a fucking wall. Yeah. So it's not.
Yes. I think. Look, I'm gonna say something today. If I say this out loud in France, for example, people are going like, "How the fuck can you say that? Are you fucking insane?" By the way,
can
for
you
the people that
French people from their meat? You can never do that.
I mean, yeah, like French cuisine is based. Quite some of it is based on meat. A lot of we have a lot of cheese and stuff. Anyways, by the way, for the people listening to the podcast, you're not necessarily vegetarian for now, are you?
I am not a vegetarian. I'm trying to cut my meat consumption to like once or twice a week, but it's more than that right now.
Okay, so yeah, like for the people listening, like you don't have, like. I mean, I hope we're trying to have like a conversation that's as open as possible, and we're not like two vegan motherfuckers trying to convince you of anything. Though I actually have quite some respect for people that go vegan. So anyways.
Yeah, it's like men who have a vasectomy. I'm sorry.
What do you mean? I have no like you remove your balls?
Taking one for the boys. Huh? Yeah, when you cut your balls off.
I have
like, why would you do that as a man? It's like voluntarily taking away the entirety of your manhood. I'm just making
less meat is more testosterone actually. Like if you put if I'm not wrong, I've heard look, my source is this. I've heard of a study, so it's not a massive source, you know, but apparently if you put like two groups of like men, and you just study them, you have a control group eating like whatever they eat, like with the meat they want to eat, and another group going full vegetarian. Actually, the group with going full vegetarian will have significantly more testosterone at the end than the group eating meat. Yeah, and my source is I heard a study. So yeah, like take it as it is.
This would be a bit concerning if it's true.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, I could search it up. We don't have a Joe Rogan.
Jamie.
Yeah. So the thing I was gonna say that is like gonna be super super shocking to people is like actually I don't think it's in terms of impact, in terms of like the suffering of all these. Okay, in terms of like as an event that makes a lot of being. We'll just assume for now that they're sentient. A lot of being suffer a fuck ton immensely, and like on a really large scale. I think it's actually quite comparable to the classic Holocaust, in the sense that I mean, react if you want to react. But yeah, we get super super shocked.
I was actually thinking of how to react to that, but I chose not to.
But like, what I want to say, if you're super fucking shocked, you're like, what the fuck is this?
I don't
How
get
can
shocked
he say
by
that?
anything.
No, I mean, I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to the people listening, and I feel the need to fucking defend myself now, or like defend what I'm saying. But I'm not. Here's the thing: I'm not doing. I'm not blaming anyone here. For example, if you own a farm, if you happen to own a farm, a massive industrial farm, first of all, thank you immensely for your open-mindedness, because you're listening to this point, and I'm you're fucking hero, mate. Like I don't know if you're. I mean, hero is not the most precise thing, but like, anyways, thank you. You're cool. Number one, I'm not blaming anyone in the sense that if you are this person that lives in this situation of having an industrial farm, for example, owning one or running one or something, look, I'm pretty sure what happened is that you just got into this job. Maybe it's not the job that you like the most. Maybe according to Wikipedia, people tend to like their job less if it gets into industrial farming than more small scale farming, because you don't have this connection with animals. That's what Wikipedia says about this. And you're just here to, like, you know, get money for your family and make them live and just doing your life. So I understand. And you probably don't have the same moral compass, very, very likely, which I understand as well. My definition of I guess a definition of a good person could be someone that follows their moral compass. I think a better definition of a good person is someone that follows their moral compass and is ready and actively seeking to reevaluate it regularly.
I'll ask you about moral compass. Like, I think we should talk about that in a bit. But I feel like what you mentioned about factory farming is not just a problem that is associated with factory farming.
Yeah, by the way, it's billions and billions every year, I think. Yeah, go on.
But also, you know, it's a bit a problem with limited liability enterprise in general. So if you're a company, if you're a corporation, even if you're the founder and CEO of that company, you're still someone who works at that company. You're we basically, it's a genius system. The fact that we have private enterprises, by the way, I'm not like trying to be a socialist. I feel like this conversation is the most left-leaning conversation we've ever had from the way we sound. But I'm definitely,
let's go.
You know.
By the way, I fucking hate. Yeah. Same. Like I hate these things with like fucking like political parties. I do not identify with any of them. I really think that conversations, like, you should not be telling yourself, if I agree with, I don't fucking know, like, more immigration, I should be agreeing with all that stuff. Like, you can have your own opinion.
Yeah, but okay. So in general, when you have a private enterprise, it's a genius system.
Not insulting anyone, PS.
Because you can basically tell the entire world that I signed this paper, and this paper that I signed means that there is now another, creature, another, I guess. Fuck, I forgot the word. My English is shit today. There's another entity. There you go. There's another entity that I just created by just taking a pen and putting on a paper and signing my name. And now I work for this entity that I created, and this entity that I created does things. It's a collective of people, all of which are not directly liable for any of the things that this entity does, even though that entity is just the collection of these people. So no one actually takes responsibility for what this entity does. So you're like, okay, well, don't feel guilty if you're working at a factory farm. Obviously, you shouldn't feel guilty if you're just working there. But if you are a decision maker, you shouldn't just say, well, it's not my liability. Because
fair.
If you're the CEO of a factory farm or a factory farming company, well, you are liable because you are the decision maker for this entity.
Yeah, you're extremely directly responsible.
Yeah.
But then, like, look, what I want to do is impact, basically. Like, if feeling guilty helps you change it, well, then I hope you feel guilty. No bad feelings involved, right? If, like, feeling motivated by positive shit and not feeling guilt, like, for example, for me, sometimes feeling guilty can really draw me down and, like, make me unproductive. But feeling motivated for a better world or something, if that makes you want to change it, well, perfect. And by the way, I think that, there are a lot of vegan people that, like, they're going and they're like, yeah, like, like, there's this extremist groups kind of everywhere that, like, tend to attack, like, butchers or something like that. I mean, I don't think it's very frequent, but it happens. Like, I think it has happened in France, like, I don't know how many months ago or years, I don't remember. But, yeah, like, they kind of attacked, like, a butchery. If you can call it, like, just kind of destroyed the glass and destroy shit inside. I don't think it helps the cause that much, though I'm not sure. But I think what would help the cause much, 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 much more is actually legit understanding, probably sales as in how to convince someone of something, and going to meat companies and people actually that have the power to change this. And so then what you can maybe do with them is like, let's like understand exactly what they want. And maybe if what they want is a lot of profit, and maybe that's completely fine. And so find a way to give them more profit by, producing less suffering, having better impact. And so maybe that way is like, I can propose you to help you like build this branch, or like just, I don't fucking know, build this branch of the company where we experiment with plant-based meat, or by the way, plant-based meat that actually tastes like meat. And feels like meat and sounds like meat and smells like meat. It exists apparently, Beyond Meat. I really want to try it.
Yeah, I've tried it actually quite a few times. I've cooked it myself and I've bought it from restaurants. The sausage is incredible. It actually tastes better than most sausage I've had.
Cool.
And the burger.
Well, there you go.
The burger, the first time you eat it, it's a bit weird. The second time, it tastes a little more comfortable. And then the third time, you don't even realize that you're not eating meat.
Cool.
But the sausage,
well, there you go.
Like the moment you just take a bite,
it's growing better and better, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
But the thing, you're mentioning, okay, there has to be an incentive for the average, dairy company or meat production company, factory farm basically, to change their practices, to invest in what you're mentioning, and that incentive basically doesn't exist for B2B companies. If you're just selling to another business, no one that eats your meat knows your name. Do you know like the name of any of the companies that you buy meat from?
I mean, slightly. I know one because they do advertising in France, but that's all. Yeah. No, they have an interest, dude. Like the trend is clear. There's more and more people like that are trying to eat less meat, especially in what we call developed countries. I don't know about the rest, but at least in these countries, there's a massive trend with people trying to eat less meat. And like the success of companies, if I'm not wrong again, the success of companies like Beyond Meat is absolutely fucking overwhelming, so much that they really struggle with scaling. Because they get so much demand. Like if you step on that, maybe you can just change the brand and no one kind of knows that it comes from you. Who cares? You step on this, you go in R&D and invest in this. You know it's the trend. You know we're going this way. Like, that's where the money is going to be in the future, and like fucking do it. Second thing, you could actually do meat. Look, here's the thing. I was talking about this with my family and my dad in the boat, and like we were going to Corsica for holidays. We're lucky enough so that we can like have these kind of holidays, and we so we were on this like kind of ferry boat that worked we were in a kind of a restaurant there, and I was talking with my parents, with my family and with my dad about it, and he said, look, I don't see any problems, if you have an animal, so maybe your pig is born in a farm and it's actually living a fucking great pig life. Like it's a farm that allows it to live a fucking great pig life, and like just living its life, and it's cool and all, and then it dies in a way that it doesn't suffer, or like the beings around it won't suffer the loss. By the way, there is big evidence for animals grieving, and why would they not? It makes sense to evolutionarily speaking, I guess it makes a lot of sense. So if you're in this situation, then my dad was like, look, maybe it's good for this pig to have been born, and it's maybe better than not having been born. Now, we don't know what's before life. We don't know what's after it. So we can't know this answer. But, I don't think it's necessarily, what I then put by default is the value of death is like when you're dead, what you're experiencing is 0. We just don't know though. So it's probably not that. And before life, same thing, 0 just by default. In terms of emotional feedback, we just don't know. But yeah, in this way, it's probably not bad at all. And then if all meat in this world was created this way from animal sources, meat from animal sources, why not? Honestly, why not? Then I'd probably, be eating that kind of meat or something. The problem is today it's really, really, really not the case. Does that mean that the meat would get much more expensive and much rarer? Like the supply would get lower? Absolutely. Is this a bad thing?
Yeah, of
No,
course
I
it
think.
should. I mean, it's always been that way, right? It's always been that way until we discovered factory farming. It was always, a food that was
Fair.
was a rarity.
Yeah, it was a
never,
luxury meat.
It
I
was not. It
don't
was never
know
the
if
rule. It
I
was
don't know how
always the
much people
exception.
cared about their like the animals. They probably did though, a lot of them, because like I don't know, you probably have some form of a connection
I
with
mean,
them.
it's expensive to raise them though. Like even if you
Yeah.
raise hundreds of chicken, it's still quite expensive. I mean, depends on the region, depends on the culture, depends on what they can farm there. But in general, most societies weren't massive meat eaters. Like every day, 2 3
Yeah,
times
it was
a day.
apparently it
meat
was
eating
quite rare,
It's something
quite
that always-
luxury.
yeah. So I'm actually reading this book called "Should We Eat
cool.
Meat?" Literally, that's the title. It's amazing.
Cool.
I highly recommend it. It's by Václav Smil, and the book is basically like 400 pages of analyzing with basically pure numbers whether us as a civilization can continue.
But for a
eating
climate
meat.
change perspective,
And from a climate change perspective, from a moral perspective, in terms of suffering, and from just in general resources and economic perspective. So basically, the conclusion that it came to was that, first of all, the demand for meat is not going to be going down
Fair,
anytime
yeah.
soon. This is
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
the
yeah,
China
yeah.
and India problem, and the rest of the
like they're
developing
happy to
world,
start
which is like
eating meat for
okay, there's
regularly for the first time.
as soon as possible. It's like exactly. There are families that have never been able to regularly.
I guess
consume
India
meat
is a
in the
bit
same
less
way
of the
that we
problem
have
because
the
of their
option to.
religions. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
The reason I mentioned
they're
China
so
and India
populous.
is that Slav Smil has an example that every time you try to reduce your greenhouse consumptions as the average consumer, if you're using your car less or if you're turning the extra lights off, just remember that China and India are each building 1,000 megawatts coal plants
Wait, what?
every week.
Holy fuck, man.
So China and India are each building such massive coal plants that dwarf the ones that we have
Shit.
in Europe, basically. Yeah. And they're gonna keep building these until.
Do you know
2030. And India has no
do
deadline.
you know
to
the
stop
plan
it.
of Bill Gates for like nuclear plants under the earth powered by nuclear how do you call them? Nuclear waste.
Are you referring to?
I
TerraPower?
believe I am. He wants to do it in China, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, he was doing it in China
Yeah.
until Trump ruined the deal.
with the
But now he's going
war.
back to it. But let me just go back to that. Let me
By
just finish
the way, I
meat,
said at some
meat
point
topic,
they're
and then
so
we can move on
populous.
to
I just
nuclear.
want to correct that. They're so I have no clue what populous means. It might mean but what I wanted to mean is like their population is so high. Just there you go.
Yeah, I think you were right in your wording. So basically, going back to the meat topic. So basically, what Václav Smil is arguing is that those of us who can should consume as little meat as possible, but cutting meat is not rational. Especially like in your children, you want.
Do
them to
you,
eat
though?
Because you want them to grow.
I don't think
Also,
you need it,
because
dude.
yes, you do.
I
There's very
actually.
clear
Why?
evidence
Why
on
is
this.
it? Why is it?
There's
What
very
evidence on
clear
what?
evidence on this.
Like on
Yeah,
what
nutritional
precisely? Is
evidence.
it
I'm
the
not
amino acids?
Qualified to speak on it.
Dude,
mainly
dude,
the protein
dude,
consumption.
amino acids.
And
I have a
also
Huel
certain
next to me
minerals
right
that
now.
you would get
You
from
have a Huel T-shirt. This whole podcast is
Yeah, but
involuntarily.
Huel is good for you as an adult, but not
Okay,
as a
so
child. There's also evidence that protein supplements, even completely plant-based supplements that are not
yeah,
super processed, don't get absorbed in the same way as
Fair.
amino acids that you would get from meat. So it could actually be carcinogenic in the long term, if that's the only source of protein.
Okay, if
But
you have
moving
though,
on.
if you manage to build the same proteins, okay, maybe you don't. But if you manage to, maybe you do. Okay, if you have all of the amino acids in the good dose, I looked on their website. Apparently, they claim pretty strongly, and they seem to like have a lot of fucking knowledge on nutrition because that's what they claim. It's in their interest to claim it. I believe them. Huel have like all of the proteins that they have right now. So right now I have like one that is high in protein actually because sports. Like they're filled with all the amino acids needed in the perfect fucking balance that you need, and I mean, maybe they get absorbed less. I do have a doubt, though. I mean, one of the cliche.
They don't get absorbed less, by the way. Yeah. They just get absorbed differently. They're different. I don't know enough about it to be able to properly explain it, but...
Okay. I mean, look, I don't really know. One of the cliche things that is in my head is like these people being like vegan bodybuilders and stuff. I have been able personally to get on a bit of mass, a bit of muscle since a few months because of... I mean, sadly, I was like sick of COVID and completely overwhelmed. I mean, in terms of work and time by the like Flutter class. And so like for like 2 weeks, I did not work out at all. And for like 2 other weeks, I worked out barely. And before there's I lost a lot of it, sadly. But yeah, I've been able to put on some mass and fully vegetarian. You know, I've not taken steroids or something. So... you know, and nothing lower than usually.
It works, right?
Yeah.
It definitely works. It's just a matter of, you know, in the long term for the entirety of the population, especially for growing kids. That's my in this book at least. That's the main concern for children. But okay, so moving on from that, just
you know, he probably knows a lot more about this subject than I do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Like the motherfucker, he does so many numbers. It's mind numbing. He really bases his arguments on numbers, which is great, I think. But anyway, his whole argument was that our current meat consumption, we can actually supply 2/3 of our current meat consumption by just completely removing factory farming, just eradicate factory farming, and use the waste product of raising. So if we cut out meat completely, first of all, you're leading to the collapse of in not only one industry but every industry that is reliant on it.
I think
you know the rice and the you know corn that you grow. All of that rice and corn needs to be fed to something, and
well, then we'd have to cut
even
less
if you just
fucking
feed it to
rainforest.
humans. Let me just finish this. Yeah. So you know, corn and rice and all the other things that we feed to cattle and to animals have a lot of waste product that need to be put somewhere. Otherwise, they will just start composting and creating methane, right? So anyway, you basically just from this waste product that I mentioned, you can feed 2/3 of the animals that we are raising right now with no factory farming.
That's kind of crazy.
I'm not considering land mass here. I'm not considering the amount of land that you would have to consume to raise this many, but you can sustainably raise 2/3 of the cattle that we're raising, the animals that we're raising now, just from the things that you would be throwing away if you were raising no animals.
Okay.
So we should keep actually raising animals. It's just that we should be more rational. The whole point of the book is actually to propose this thing called rational meat eating. Yeah. So on a large scale, as humans, like, get your fucking shit together. Stop wasting so much meat. Stop eating so much meat, especially Americans, and to an extent Europeans. And just consume it rationally. Eat it like it's healthy for you, and eat it like it's healthy for the planet. So we've discussed a lot of problems.
I mean, I actually think we didn't discuss. I mean, I think we discussed like a couple or 3 or 4 max. I think didn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
but like we discussed a lot. Like we talked about them a lot.
Problems, and in our conversation, yeah. In general, in the conversations we've had, we've mainly talked about problems, right? With the issues and challenges and the threats that are facing harmony. I'm gonna get past the solutions. Let's assume that we've already solved this, right? We've already fixed a majority of the existential threats that we can see today. Obviously, more will rise, but at some point. Hopefully, if we don't destroy ourselves, humans will be comfortable enough and prosperous enough that problem solving doesn't cut it anymore. And right now, I'm sort of in this phase. Maybe it will be here forever. This phase that I feel like exploration is what matters the most.
Okay, this is great
in life. So, where do you see the future of human exploration going? Because, for example, there's Elon who sees space exploration, right? I'm going to use me as an example, but I'm not trying to like compare myself to Elon. I'm just saying, for me, I think creating simulations would be one of the greatest ways of
Oh.
exploration for those
Okay.
who can't have
Okay,
access
okay.
to space travel, right?
Cool.
Where do you
All
see
right,
the
so
future of
I
exploration
told you
for
that.
humans?
Okay, cool. Yeah, it has actually been a big subject in my mind, and I was like, wait, is this just about emotional feedback? Okay, how I define it is like, on a scale of 10 to minus 10, let's say, emotional feedback is basically how you feel, and then you can time it. Like, I have a formula somewhere. You can time it with the amount of time you feel it for. So, for example, like, you can look at the like drug consumption. Like, for example, if you get like a meth in your, yeah, no, it's a pretty hardcore example. I mean, not necessarily. Anyways, so if you get meth into your body, you're gonna feel absolutely amazing for a certain amount of time. Let's just call it a 10 for now. And then, but though you're gonna feel like this 10 for, like whatever the amount of time that meth has you. I'm sorry, by the way. Sorry if I'm reminding meth to any former meth addict. I think we should, like, I don't know, maybe do a disclaimer or something. But it's pretty like you're
triggering 20 new
damn.
addictions now, right? Or
I mean, hopefully
re-triggering
though,
old
like,
addictions.
yeah, I mean, potentially, hopefully, participating to this preventing, is that what I want to say? Yeah, I think that, by the way, like, a lot of the message about drugs is drugs are bad. I think that's dumb to say this, especially because a big target of these things is like, like adolescents, teenagers. Yeah, teenagers, you say that in English. So yeah, because like they want to get outside the rules and stuff. So like, if you say drugs are bad, they're like, let's go. I think like a lot of them are. So I think it's really dumb to say that.
That's actually very accurate.
And no, like I think that drugs are not bad. Just the vast majority of the time, drugs are dumb. Like, it's one of the worst investments, period. Like, imagine having the idea of starting to smoke. It's so dumb. It's really dumb. Like, number one, it tastes like shit first, all right? And number two, look, you have your reasons to do it. You have your reasons, like maybe you want to get into a social group, maybe you don't want to look cool and stuff like that. These are all good things that happen to you because of that drug, or at least, in the short term. And that's great. Like, there are positives and positive impacts to feeling drugs, especially if you get meth. You're going to feel the fucking positive impact. It's going to be literally the best feeling you've ever felt in your life. All right. The problem with meth. Okay. Like, I was looking at this YouTube channel from this guy. He was like, oh, like an ancient drug addict from everything. He was saying like, there's no way to describe it.
I thought you were talking from personal experience.
Let's
You're
go.
being so descriptive.
I actually have never even been drunk in my life. I'm such a little angel. Yeah, like, so this guy, and he was like, look, like, sex is 200 dopamine units. I don't know where that comes from, but he says that like a good way to make you understand it, sex is 200 dopamine units, coke is 400, meth is 1500. Yeah. And the thing is,
right.
You start it, you feel so fucking amazing, like your brain just wants this. Like, it's just the only thing it's wired to do. Because it has been programmed in history to just like, when something feels good, we go get this. And, evolution makes specific things feel good, but now you just hacked the system. And so, and you dream about this, you want this so much, every penny you have, like, just, you want it to put it inside there, so you fuck up your life, fuck up your family. It's really fucking hard. And then when you, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not an expert on the subject. I hope I'm not saying too many things that are wrong. And when you get to a point where you want to stop, number one, it's really hard. And number two, the dude that was talking on YouTube about it was like, it's probably I think he was saying it was the hardest drug to stop. But then he's been off of it for 3 years, and he still has nightmares and dreams, really disturbing ones, I believe, if I'm not incorrect. Because like they feel so good, and he just wants to do it so much. About it one night out of 2, He still dreams about it all the fucking time. One night out of 2, and yeah, it's really hard to stop. And his first wish ever was like, I hope I have never even heard of this word. I hope I had never experienced it for the first time. Yeah. So that was, I don't know what I was saying, talking about this. Yeah, I was talking about like positive impact and shit. I don't, because my formula is like, if you want to look at the impact of a drug, for example, it's like, oh, you like, so 10 times, like, I don't fucking know, say a few hours, and say your unit is an hour, your unit of time is hours, like, perfect, let's just say that. So that's like 10 times 3, that's 30. So plus 30, but then the negative impact of like ruining your life is going to be like maybe less hardcore than 10. So it's probably not going to be minus 10, but it's, at some point it's going to be maybe minus 4 or 5 or something, but then it's going to be like potentially for years. So, or for a lot of time during these years. And so, you have a negative impact that's much higher. That's kind of how I see it. I have a math formula. I can probably get it out if you want for the, that I have. I don't know. I kind of use it without actually genuinely do the math, but that's my reference for impact. Anyways, I was asking to me at some point, I got far, but I'm coming back. I was asking to myself at some point, is experience something that, like, is experiencing new things something that I'm missing here? Is it like another dimension from emotional feedback? Because I really, really like new things. And even when there are things I get really bored in them, or like that feel bad sometimes or something, because like they hurt or something, I'm still kind of glad in a way that I have gotten this new thing. And then I told myself, I remembered myself that, look, curiosity, evolutionarily speaking, makes a lot of sense. And if I'm not wrong, we have had that through evolution. By the way, some people, if I'm not wrong as well, have managed to program curiosity into a gaming AI. So an AI that would finish games and basically would feel positive reinforcement. I don't know if it would feel it or if it was in the program, by the way, but positive reinforcement, actually what I said was more interesting than, anyways, when it discovered new places in the level.
No,
and so, yeah, and so one of the first AIs, I think, that was able to play multiple games, actually. You just gave it the controls of a game, and it was able to play and potentially finish multiple games, not just one.
These are like multiplayer
single,
games?
I think a lot of them were platformers, like Sonic or Mario.
Okay.
And yeah.
But I'm assuming it can't go through like a narrative game.
Like especially if this narrative game talks about concepts that you need to understand from real life, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of like emotional dilemmas.
Yeah, but fair. Then it would need to have more knowledge.
Well, maybe soon. I mean, if you have such an algorithm that can play Mario, hopefully we'll have something soon that can actually.
That's probably play The Witcher. Fair. Look, I was asking, but then like you can probably put curiosity and exploration inside the because it feels good to explore. Why does it feel good? Because it allows you, historically speaking, evolutionarily speaking, it allows you to find potential threats and find potential opportunities for things like food. So it can be really, really useful to be curious.
Yes. It's kind of like sex, right? You enjoy sex, so you do it, and then your species doesn't go extinct.
Like because if you like having sex, you are more likely to pass on your genes. I mean, by the way, then you need to educate the people and love your children. And there are I think math formulas to determine, like, looking at your geological, your relationship with someone in your family, how much on average you'll be willing to, if or not on average, you'll be willing to sacrifice your life to save them, which I think is quite fun. But for example, if they're your kids, you will sacrifice your life to save them because your genes will then continue.
Okay,
I really like the theory of evolution. It's just so fucking elegant, and it allows you to understand so many things.
But I mean, you mentioned afterwards you got to take care of your family and train your kids. It's kind of like, well, that's why sex feels good. So you then rationalize about the fact that for the next 20 something years, or even 50 years, you're gonna have to be taking care of this little shit that comes out of your wife's vagina.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best to get back at the fucking question. Yeah,
don't even
I think I
remember
do.
what the question was. They asked you about
Yeah. And
exploration,
yeah, I think probably exploration could be considered as positive. I hope that our nature makes it so that we actually, okay, imagine that, I kind of hope, but then like if it was, then we would like be happy about it. But so it's actually not that big of a deal, surprisingly, I think. But I hope that we are a species. I mean, our souls or some whatever the fuck that we. Okay, if you get yourself in the following experiment, imagine you have an AGI understanding exactly how you work, etc., and an unlimited amount of a specific drug that it can get inside of you, and it exponentially augments how good you feel forever. Will you
Okay.
feel fucking amazing, like keep on feeling better and better and better, or will you at some point just like, well, no, because like there are physical limitations to it, but imagine the AI is so smart that it can go around it, right, in this thought experiment.
But your neurons will start
Yeah,
burning out.
well, what I'm kind of hoping is that as souls or whatever, like the things that may allow us to experience, or you know, the sentience in us or whatever the fuck, I kind of hope that we are not programmed in a way that we could get exponential feeling good. Even if it does, we'll be very happy about it if it actually happens, because.
So you hope that we're not programmed this way.
I mean, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, actually, surprisingly, but I kind of hope so, because then it's probably fear of the unknown. Because if it's not the case, you could probably just consider exploring and just something that makes you feel good, and therefore it can go in the framework. And even if it is the case, you can consider it as something good. But what I mean is that, I mean, yeah, I'm going to try to get to the fucking question. And so you talked about, your question was about, like you were thinking about experiencing, and you were thinking about human exploration, where it was going.
Yeah, it's like, how do you see humans as a species once we've solved enough problems where, you know, quote unquote, history
so
has
the
stopped?
goal of my life is the following, now updated. I want to get, I don't have a cool sentence that says it in a concise way yet, but I want to get, or to, I mean, that's the goal, right? Again, I'm not arrogant enough to say that I'm going to make it. But I truly will hopefully pragmatically work as much as I fucking can on this. Not as much as I can, that's not the correct way to say it. Anyways, the goal of my life right now basically is the following. It's just the exact same thing as the latest goal of my life, but just one ambition level above, which is I want to try to help, or like as much as I can contribute to getting humanity to this level where, number one, to this level where the best advice that you could give someone, the best in that framework of utilitarianism, the best advice that you could give someone would be go have fun and have a great life, rather than go and help these people try to make the world a better place, because the world is so much of a better place that you'd actually just be better off. The world is so much of a great fucking place that you actually just be better off just taking care about you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
that's
so
where I'm getting at. That's like the world I envision, you know, in the next whatever many decades. It's like, okay, once we get there, once all the shitty jobs are automated and the only jobs that are left are ones that humans enjoy, and we keep them around for sentimental reasons, basically, for enjoyment, basically. And
where do we go?
You know,
I know,
do then?
and that's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
Well, then we can explore, and that's why really, that's. I think surprisingly we have very close points of views there. I mean, we can explore whenever we want. We can explore in space and all that stuff. But one thing that we can do is that maybe what we will want to do is we will want to choose experiences that will make us voluntarily feel bad. In the sense that that's kind of why you're watching a movie. Or that's kind of why you're playing a video game. I've done a lot of game design. A core part of game design is okay, I was not actually thinking about this, like I did not have these evil plans or something. But if the user never feels bad about anything, they're not going to give it a shit, like they're not going to feel good about anything either. And so you're not going to motivate them. And look, maybe people are going to want to have these adventures. Maybe you're super happy, but you're like, look, I'd like to have this adventure. I'd like to live this thing. Therefore, I think that a great way to do it would be to simulate universes, what I call N-1 universes, which is just universes simulated by our universe that we'll just here call N. N+1 universes. And N-1 universe would be, if we are in a simulation, the universe simulating ours. And so I think these simulations exist already in the sense that they are video games, for example. Though obviously in the future we'll be able to make these feel much more real, and at some point we're probably going to be able to make them feel so real that if you get into them, number one, you won't be able to notice that you're in a simulation. Number two, maybe you won't even know it because we will have wiped that from your brain, something like this, and so you can basically be born in a new kind of life. But yeah, hopefully we can get to a world that is so fucking good that we can just choose to live in this world. Or we can also like choose to live parts of our lives or a lot of our lives, whatever, in these simulations that we build.
Okay, there you go. That's actually, I would say, right now where I am. That is my life.
We're extremely aligned then.
That's
because it's mine.
Amazing.
I mean, as well.
Haha. Maybe we should be co-founders in the future then. Because honestly, right now I'm trying to build my own skill sets and get to a level of financial and skill-wise stability that I can then move on to just doing crazy shit like this one. I definitely want to at some point solve at least attempt to, again, I'm also not trying to be an arrogant prick, attempt to solve a big portion of the climate problem. For me, that's the biggest one I see. Like that's the one I deeply care about and I think I can do something in. After that, I definitely just want to work on making simulations and then, living in those simulations for as long as possible. And I want those simulations to be completely indistinguishable from reality. It wouldn't look like and it wouldn't feel like the reality that we experience today, but it would have to feel
it would feel like you're
reality.
In the real thing.
Like it would have to feel like you're in base reality. Yeah, exactly. Just like now. We feel like we're in base reality.
And you know what the amazing thing about this, if we get there? It will give us so much confidence. Okay, cool. If we get there, and if we get to that's the amazing cherry on the top of the cake. If we get there, and if we get to this point where we're like, okay, let's build these simulations that are indistinguishable from reality and that basically are what I call N+1 universes. I think it makes sense. N being like the number of the universe from the base universe, I guess, or like the level of the tree or whatever. That means that, I don't know how, I don't understand this logic yet very, very well. I don't know if many people do understand it very, very well, but, it will give us so much confidence about, what's before and after death. It's so much more than we have right now. In the sense...
Well, it might not give you confidence, but it might... essentially, but basically, if you get to live, if you get to, let's say, actually, we don't get to expand human lifetime by the time that we create this technology. Okay.
Expand, what do you mean expand?
As in, let's assume that the average lifetime of a human being, your life expectancy is the same as it is today.
Okay, that's very unlikely, but let's just assume that.
Yeah, let's keep that a constant just for simplicity.
Okay.
And let's assume that, okay, let's just
you made a cool sound with your mic.
Sorry.
It was cool. It was like a sound of fucking just go on, man. Submarine
let's just say the average human lifespan or life expectancy is about 100 years. Okay. And this is in 2050, 2060, whatever. And we have got to this technology of simulations. We have simulations that are running, hundreds of simulations simultaneously, and anyone at any point of time through their brain-computer interface or whatever other technology can pop into these simulations and then live in one of them for as long as they want. And let's say if they spend a day in one of these simulations, it's actually an hour in real life terms.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about this as well.
Artificially extending a person's lifespan without actually doing anything
fucking amazing.
Physically.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
And you would get to, go kill a dragon and die but not actually get hurt in real life. You would actually experience pain through your brain computer.
And you
interface,
want
but
to
not-
experience pain.
Of course,
I
I
think.
want to
Or
experience
at least
pain.
some of
Yeah.
it.
That's a big part of it. Like,
Yeah.
imagine,
Like, because it
like,
adds to the excitation of, like, yeah, go on. Like, to
as
the,
long as
like,
there's no physical consequences to me, this is my main concern. As long as there's no psychological,
Yeah.
especially, and physical
Fair.
consequences.
I mean, maybe you
me
will have
in
psychological
real life.
consequences in this world, but not the base
That's
one.
exactly
and the
my
base.
biggest my biggest worry. It's like,
Fair.
okay, if I do this, then there's gonna be a lot of people with PTSD at some point who died in like, the worst
True.
battle in history. or
Good
something,
point.
You know?
Good point.
Yeah. like I would love to simulate D-Day and then be able to fight in it, but I would probably
Yeah.
have the worst PTSD.
Yeah. Oof. That's like, emotionally, that's something, man.
Yeah.
Oof. And by the way, be able to fight in it, you'd probably, I think the vast majority of the people just fucking drowned in water. I mean, you know,
Oh yeah, like
allies.
I'll probably not be able
Ones-
to step out of the boat, you know.
Mhm.
But anyway, like
I mean, you want to
whatever the
experience it as
simulation-
part of history or something.
yeah, like I think the main
Why not?
I think how the idea started for me was that I was like, okay, I was reading a little. I was reading the, you know, the Unabomber.
Unibomber.
Unabomber, I guess that's the basically
Unabomber?
someone. It's the guy was a terrorist, one of the most famous domestic
I'm a
terrorists in America.
terrorist.
Okay,
Right.
and what he did was that he was an anti-technologist basically.
Okay.
And he believed that he literally wrote a manifesto called The Industrial Revolution and Its Consequences. And in that, he argued that post-industrial revolution, humans went too far. And every new technology that we create is eventually going to lead to our destruction.
Okay.
So we should just go back to living as early humans, like early agrarian humans. Like
when
pre-medieval
you mean
humans.
Now when you say pre-mid, I think that actually our life would be much better as hunter-gatherers and on
Exactly.
average than pre-medieval humans.
I
like
don't know
in
if this guy would want to live as a human or as a I mean I read the
As a
I read the
human.
manifesto sorry I read the manifesto ages ago
Yeah.
ages, you know, with my relative time frame would be like I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't really remember the details, but anyway, after I read that I was just thinking, I was like, okay, I don't want to. I love technology. I'm definitely a technologist, so like as in not a technologist, rather. I don't know, a technocrat, whatever you want to call it. And in that context, I would love to basically live as a hunter-gatherer. You know, I want to at some point be able to through a simulation live as a hunter-gatherer.
Let's go.
I want to experience the dangers and the pain and the suffering without actually dying. You know, getting eaten by a lion.
Yeah.
But I want to experience. I think that would honestly be the most fulfilling thing ever. If I can live
By the
like
way,
10 years as a hunter-gatherer, holy shit.
So many people. Yeah. I agree. So many. Like I kind of find it silly how so many people are using, like, for example, like saber-toothed tiger or fucking being eaten by a lion or something as like it was probably something extremely rare.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
You're
though.
probably
I
more
mean, it is
likely
super
dying
rare
of an
today. Maybe it wasn't that at the time.
I mean, depends on your geography, but it's probably more likely that you would get hurt by like you would die from an infection or something.
Yeah, or starvation or something that you're hunting.
Yeah. But yeah, where were we? Actually, so I actually want to hear your idea on this. How did you become interested in making simulations?
I'm not necessarily interested. I mean, I remember in the past I really wanted to experience living in Minecraft. Give me the pain that comes with it as well, because you want it to be a bit exciting. Maybe not too much. Like, don't give me PTSD as well. From like fucking fighting dumb, like pixelated, fucking spiders and people. No, I've never necessarily been like interested into building the simulations. I really want to live in them. I mean, look, no, because I want to do. I really like doing game design. If ever it is something easy. Imagine a world where, you know, you can really create a simulation just as easily as, you know, we create a simulation today, even easier because maybe you have a brain-to-computer interface to like just to bring the commands to a computer that just builds it.
that would be really cool. I would love to create new simulations and just go inside there, experience the thing, and like modify it and then go inside there, experience the thing, and that would be really, really cool. Just like you build video games today, but immensely more immersive. I would really like this. Last time I've been like in the flow state for like 7 fucking hours and like have not seen like it was really weird. I did not like the sun came like from one side to the other side of the fucking room and earth in like 5 minutes. Was when I was building this map on Minecraft, when I was creating this game. I get in the flow state. I can get in the flow state quite fast when I'm map making. I mean, game designing basically, and creating the thing. So yeah, I would probably really, really like it. I don't know. I'm more focused right now on the like making the world a better place part of it.
Exactly.
And then
like,
I'm absolutely sure that so many people will just build the tools to be able to build simulations and much more immersive video games, because that's basically what they are in the future.
Okay, actually, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the details of the technologies that we would need to actually create such a thing. I would assume. I mean, I've spent a good chunk of time thinking about this, but not necessarily in recent times with the new knowledge I've acquired. So I would assume the main one would be a BCI. So how I was thinking about it is that there would be a brain-computer interface that would basically connect your physical brain to a virtual body that you are in this simulation, however that body may look like and feel like. And then your physical body would be connected to a virtual brain, so that it doesn't obviously deteriorate. Yes. So this virtual brain that is connected to your physical body.
Maybe you upload your brain in a computer and it just allows it to. I mean, you probably
No. You're not uploading your brain. Your brain stays in your body. Like you're not mutilating.
No, but like the virtual
except
brain,
for the BCI, right?
Maybe the virtual brain is a copy of yours. I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not even a conscious thing. It's just a program.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just a program that basically tells your body to exercise,
chill,
right? And exercise and eat, right? So it basically allows your body to be able to do exercises and maintain its physical health to a level that you to an intensity, let's say, intensity of exercise that you would not even be able to do as a normal conscious human, the average human, me and you.
I mean, you're basically a zombie programmed to stay healthy while your sentience is in the universe below.
Yeah, you basically go into a simulation for 6 months. You have the best time of your life. Eventually, you fall off a cliff or something and you die in this simulation. And then you come back and you're the most buff guy in the world.
Yeah, why not?
That's
I actually think that at this point, maybe not actually, but maybe at this point we'll have things to allow you to skip the working out part and get buff if you want to get buff.
Or whatever, there would be a machine that.
Yeah, no, but fair, makes sense. So then I guess if you want to run it, you probably want a quantum computer to be able to have all of this power. But then the problem with quantum computers is that apparently they make a lot of errors. So what you probably want to do is use AI to correct these errors automatically, and then you probably, I don't know, maybe some classical computing will be useful there as well. But yeah, I guess that's how you would run it. I don't know if it is possible, but I think it is. I mean, if you use this combination of the three with just a quantum computer, apparently the problem is that it could give you a lot of errors. But yeah, with AI that could solve these things, that would be potentially working.
Now, first of all, the main thing that concerns me is that if your brain is sending signals to this virtual body, these signals are inevitably actually going to your real body.
Okay.
So would you be just randomly spazzing out while you're sitting there or lying there or standing in a mat?
But you mean would you be moving, something like that?
Yeah, would you be unconscious? Would you...
Dude,
you have to be unconscious, but because even if you're sleeping, in a normal human without a BCI, if you're sleeping and there's a fight scene going on in your dream, you're actually physically reacting to that.
No, actually, most of the time, the vast majority of the time, you're actually not, because you're paralyzed. There's, I really, I'm quite confident about this one. By the way, I was listening to Joe Rogan podcast with this guy that was an expert on sleep. Really interesting. Really
Matthew Walker, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool guy.
There we go.
Yeah.
And yeah, we really undervalue sleep in our society. Yeah, he recalled it back to me, but I mean, yeah, that yeah, you get paralyzed when you're asleep, which is why, like, when you're like half asleep but you're still in this paralysis phase, you get sleep paralysis, and it's freaky. I've never had that, but apparently it's not something you want to have, because like you hallucinate bad shit. Yeah, so you're actually, yeah, you get paralyzed, so that you don't actually move, and so the vast majority of the time you actually won't move in your sleep.
Okay.
I mean, you will move to change sides, but you won't move if you're like, I'm flying.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
we definitely have to put this person into a state of paralysis, which simulate. Basically, you have to trigger the same mechanisms that get triggered in your body when you're dreaming, and you're basically telling your brain that it's in a dream.
Yeah, and maybe
I mean,
in the
dreams
future.
seem very realistic. Like dreams, most of the time you're not able to tell that you're in a dream, right?
Yeah.
So basically,
And
we're
some of the
simulating
times
dreams. We're simulating extreme dreams.
Yeah. That could be it. Well, that could be the first version of it.
Huh. So you might not even need, theoretically, a brain-computer interface, like as an MVP, basically, you know.
Oh, could you? I mean, you kind of can do it with hypnosis in a way.
Yeah, too much hocus pocus. That's not very scalable. What's scalable is, you know, a Neuralink that 1 billion people have. And
I mean,
you
I
can
actually
just
have made
immediately trigger that.
I mean, I've learned hypnosis relatively recently. I have given people lucid dreams, like on the spot.
How does that work?
It's like suggestions to the subconscious mind. So, like, hypnosis is like two parts. It's the first part is induction. So you basically get the person. I mean, you help the person get themselves in this place where they are like super relaxed in a trance state. And what you do is that their subconscious mind will be much more open to suggestions from the outside, and especially from you. And so because they're focused on your voice, like, because in this trance state you're basically super focused on one thing. And so they're in this state where they're at the same time super relaxed, super focused, with a super high attention. It's really similar to flow state. Getting someone into hypnosis really sounds a lot like guided meditation as well. And you get into the flow, like you get into a trance apparently, like, you know, depending on who you are, like from 2 times to 30 times a day, just naturally anyways. And yeah, so it's this state where you can get much more suggestible to suggestions. And so that means that then if you are into this state, and I'm saying, I don't know, you know, fucking, like, when you wake up you're gonna feel like, I don't fucking know. Like, yeah, let's just say, like, when you wake up, you're gonna have an hallucination. Roham will be standing in front of you, looking at you with a seriously weird face, and proposing to you, fucking waffles.
Huh.
And so, yeah, like when I make the person wake up, well, now they have this hallucination, or you can make them, like, a super classic trick that hypnotists do is like make them think truly and see you as their favorite celebrity, so they freak the fuck out. And it's kind of unlimited, like, kind of everything that you can experience, it seems, or feel, you can make them feel with hypnosis, especially if they have, like, it's easier if they have felt it before, because they know how it feels, and so they can replicate it easier. But yeah.
Interesting. I don't know how scalable this would be as a solution.
No, I'm not saying that this would be like simulations, or, and plus, like, you don't have the advantage. I mean, you know, you could MVP some parts of it with it, I guess. You know, just like you MVP a website with potential, like, talking to people, like asking them the questions that the website would ask them, or something like that. I don't see this as a substitute for simulations. Like, same thing. Like, I still enjoy really much playing, like, video games, even if these days I don't. I mean, I do play some Mario Kart with my brothers right now. Some Civilization, by the way. They just made an update that.
But yeah, how is it? Like the new. This is
Yeah,
the final
just,
one. This is the final update, I think.
Is it? No, I don't think it is. I would be
Apparently, the
surprised.
one that is either that already came out or is coming out really, really soon will be the
Ooh.
final.
Oh damn! So then it's Civ 7.
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like right now, I mean, good thing is like there's competition in the market, so they're probably gonna, I don't know, lower their price or just, I don't know, fucking know. But
Honestly, you know, we've talked about simulations. They're basically the next generation of video games, next level of video games.
Yeah.
It's like there has to be a different business model. The business model that there is now, especially for, you know, really
what do you
great
need the business
games.
model?
You know, like look at CD Projekt, for example. I think it's a pretty good example these days. They made The Witcher 3, which was a massive success.
Wait, CD Projekt, is it the company that made The Witcher 3?
Yes, and then they made Cyberpunk.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So they made The Witcher 3. They actually had a pretty small budget relative to other games that came out at that time and were actually inferior. You know, like Fallout 4 had a much bigger budget and was in every term inferior to The Witcher 3. Like story-wise, in terms of gameplay, in terms of graphics, in terms of mechanics, in terms of every single thing, in terms of the physics, everything was inferior.
Okay.
And you know, The Witcher 3 was a massive success. Everyone loves it. Business model is, you know, you spend $80 million making a game for like 5 or 6 years, then you sell it to a bunch of people for $50 a pop, you know, and whatever, however much you sell it, and then once in a while you decide to release a DLC. If you're a bit more blood-sucking but still moral, like Rockstart, then you add an online mode and you have microtransactions. And if you just care about money, then you're EA and you basically take the same game, you update their clothes once a year, and you update the player names once a year, and you just release FIFA every single fucking year for this and charge people hundreds of euros in total while they're playing it.
Would you actually
Obviously
charge users hundreds of euros for one game?
EA, yeah, there are people who spend like literally spend thousands a year on FIFA, just FIFA.
Because they are in-game purchases.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't know.
So you buy the game for 60 euros. That's already a full price game. So when you're paying 60 euros, at least back in my day, this meant that you're getting a full AAA game that will give you like hundreds of hours of gameplay. That's not what EA offers anymore. That's still, but like so none of these business models work. Because if you're EA, obviously you're making a shitload of money. They're the most profitable video game company in the world. But they're kind of like, they're not creating art, even though ironically they are called electronic arts. They're not creating art. They're just, you know, there are obviously a lot of talented artists that work on these games, but it's not art. And then there's CD Projekt on the other side of the
could be considered.
spectrum. I don't. I don't consider it.
Okay,
as a video game, it's not the... Because for me, video games
You're talking
are
about
the best
FIFA
form of,
precisely.
Yeah. FIFA and
okay.
alike, basically, that EA makes. So because for me, I mean, actually, I wrote this 20-page essay that I was trying to turn into a podcast about how video games are the highest form of art.
Cool.
But
I think it's... By the way, I can really, really just say a super short comment about this. I am someone that does a lot of music. I'm nearly made like 8 songs right now, like produced and all that shit. Like, you know, like I play the piano and like improvise and stuff, and yeah, and so I'm familiar with music and creating music. I'm also familiar with video games, creating video games. Like I didn't just do Minecraft. I also at some point did a full game design course in Canada when I was 15. Like it was the only thing I was doing for 5 months in the school day, like from 9 or 8, I think, to 3 p.m. And probably 9 to 3. That would be the Canadian days, I think. And yeah, so what I can say about this is that I think that there are so many more dimensions in a video game than in music, and I think that the amount of creativity, the amount of innovation, it's really hard to innovate in music. Like every single time I think the vast majority of the time when you innovate in music and it's still pleasant, it's like when you mixed up 2 genres together. It's like, you know, in video games, the innovation, like the amount of innovation you can do is absolutely fucking insane, because you have 3 spatial dimensions at least, like you have sound, you have a lot.
Exactly, like the music is just one piece it's one of the most
Yeah.
beautiful things humans have created, but it's just audio. And then you have a video game where, like, again, I'm gonna use the example of The Witcher because I'm a Witcher loyalist, I guess. And you know, you have great music that I actually, you know, listen to on basically every day. I listen to Witcher music at some point.
Yeah.
You know, different types of the music while I'm doing something, whether it's, you know, working or washing the dishes or trying to sleep. There's the beautiful music, then there's the beautiful writing, then there's the beautiful cinematography, then there's the beautiful animations, then there's the actual like video game design, which is the mechanics and the physics and everything.
Yeah.
All of which takes a lot of fucking talented work. Even again with the FIFA that I shat on, still a lot of talented people, you know.
I like this word, to shit at the past tense.
Shat. I shat on FIFA. Yeah. But where was it? Where was I? How did we get to this?
No, like we were talking as video games as a super high form of art, and I actually think genuinely that video games are, like, in my opinion, I have video games. I have quite a lot of video games ideas from all of these years. But one of the game I really rather in general multiplayer video games. By the way, for you were asking about the business model.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to come back to this just afterwards. Yeah. But I was saying, I think that you can actually build video games that are so much more simple than AAA games. By the way, I think that really AAA games today are, in general, not using nearly as much of the creativity that they could use. They tend to be like super high budget games, but then relatively similar. The amount of FPS is really, really massive, really, really high. My favorite thing about Minecraft is just the concept. It has no objective. It's just fucking blocks. Like the quality, especially the quality of the graphics and the quality of the, at first was super shitty. Now you have you can have mods like shaders and shit.
It's like,
I mean, with shaders, it's actually really, really beautiful. And yeah.
You know, you touched on something really important actually. The cost. It's like, well,
you can make amazing things with high success with a very, very little cost.
Yeah, Minecraft.
In video games.
I mean,
yeah,
Minecraft or Undertale.
You can have like examples in mobile games. Yeah, Undertale, mobile games that, I mean, I think a lot of the time are kind of shitty, but some of these mobile games, by the way, are fucking masterpieces of game design and human psychology, like what Supercell does. Fucking crazy.
Which one? Supercell.
Supercell, Clash of Clans, Clash Royale. Yeah.
Okay. But like regarding the cost, you know, for example, I would use the example of Red Dead Redemption 2. I've heard numbers anywhere between $600 million to $1 billion to make that game. That's like a shitload of money, right? Yeah. I mean, they obviously have the money, but because it's so expensive and there's so many people involved and it's such a long, massive project, that sort of makes the game developers a little more conservative in terms of taking risks, taking creative and potentially destructive risks, you know. And then when they try to take risks like Cyberpunk, you know, CD Projekt did with Cyberpunk, it kind of gets ruined because it just becomes suddenly too expensive and too long for them to be able to sustain a project, and then they have to have a botched release, right?
Yeah.
So the only solution actually to fix the video game industry and sustain it until the point that it gets to a simulation is to actually make video games cheaper. So if a video game costs 200 million, you got to be able to do it with 10 million. If it costs 10 million, you should be able to do it with 100,000.
Okay, in my opinion, you know, if you just like the technology is the trend is that the tech will just get better and better and better, both in AI. I mean, you know, in AI, in brain-to-computer interfaces, in classical computing, in quantum computing. You know, all of these are going extremely fast, and as soon as it's possible to do, probably a lot of people are going to try to do it. Now, probably a lot of people are going to try to have great, like, you know, are going to have to, you know, going to find ways to make money out of it. And there's probably ways to make a fuck ton of money out of it.
Of course.
Now, it's kind of funny. I just imagine a massive MMO in which every single time you trade an object, there's a fucking like tax that like part of your money just get taxed to heaven. Like, oh,
I mean, that's
shit,
that's sort of
5%.
this simulation that we live in. That's
How?
sort of what happened.
I mean, to countries, but yeah, but to countries, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like no, because countries are like from this like world that we are in. By the way, I don't know if it's a simulation of the world that we are in. I'm not sure about it. personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Absolutely
probably
not.
not. Honestly, it's just a fun thing to think about.
Yeah.
But it's probably not.
I mean, and if we manage to make very very realistic simulations, N+1, it's probably something extremely not dumb to consider as very likely to be the truth.
But N-1 is I would just say it's incalculable, right? It's not like
I don't really know, to be honest. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. I mean, I don't think you will need necessarily to have a business model either. Like when I was creating the games I wanted to create, I did not have any business model. I just wanted to create them because I really liked doing so. And at the point where we're gonna be so, look, if robots take our jobs and that it's done in a good way, I mean, in a way that won't make it dystopic or anything. Well, actually, it's probably a lot. I mean, there is a good thing about it, a big good thing about it, which is, look, like you don't have to work anymore. You're basically going to get universal basic income and some stuff like that. Stuff is going to become so cheap and that so automated that really you're not going to have any problem eating or surviving.
But what do you think will happen to money in that world? Would it still be a concept?
I don't know. I guess it's so useful to exchange things when you have money. I don't know. Yeah, probably. I don't know. And what was I saying? I don't think you necessarily need a business model, because then like you can just create a world because you want to create a world, and that's where you find your meaning is, at this moment, if we actually get to this world where it's just so fucking good, then we can just create simulations. I guess you don't have meaning anymore in terms of let's make the world a better place, except if we meet aliens, or except if you're trying to like help animals have a better life, or non-human beings have a better life. Look, when I was creating video games, I just loved it so much that I don't know, at this time I didn't even necessarily need meaning, or like, I'm making the world a better place. Like from my personal experience, it was amazing.
But eventually, for as long as there is money and economics, someone will have to run the servers, and the incentive for them to run the servers would be to get paid. And same with the designers.
Robots, they could be run automatically.
If it's cheap enough that you can do it alone quite easily, that's a different story. Yeah. But if it's still as expensive as it is today, or even cheaper but still considered a large project.
Mm-hmm.
Like the economics would still have to work.
Yeah, then you would probably need a business model. Yeah. I was talking mostly about like in a world where it's really easy to actually make new simulations.
Timo, this was incredible. I had a lot of fun. Actually, I'm starting to like having no camera and recording online. But I love this conversation. It's been such a long time. Hope to see you back in Barcelona. Where can people find you, and what are you up to next before we do an episode 2?
Self-promotion moment. Thank you. I mean, if you want to see the music, just I guess go on the Instagram at his name is name, just all in one word. His name is name, with an H at first and without an H, because his name is name, like to be like if you want the. I'm not gonna share the hypnosis thing yet. I mean, fucking what? Whatever. Like, if you're interested about this, you want to talk to me about hypnosis, because I'm actually like the kind of what I'm starting right now is like a little business of to try to get my financial independence and get more control of my time, which is helping people stop smoking forever with hypnosis. And so like, I have like my handle is like @a_hypnotist.
What the fuck? I had no idea you're actually doing this.
Yeah, I am. Since a few weeks, I'm just trying it out. We'll see how it works. But yeah, and I have helped one dude already. and I'm helping this other dude, but like he has so many problems, so it takes a lot of time to actually make him a viable plan. That's what I'm gonna discuss with Natalia actually in like 1 minute, and I guess it's enough probably, you know.
Yeah, man. We
Thank
really
you.
should do the episode 2 because I've barely gone through half of the things I wanted to ask. you.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I
Cool.
really enjoyed this. I think this is one of the best episodes I've done. So
And I think like if we have things about like I'm remembering the thing that you said. Oh, we should be co-founders and something. I mean,
Yeah.
because like the goals are so aligned. Yeah. We'll see if it
are
makes
you
sense, but, yeah.
actually coming back to Barcelona?
I don't know. I'll just see. Yeah, it depends. It depends. I don't know now. I'm probably. We'll see.
Cool. Well,
Likely
alrighty,
so.
man.
Bye, mate. Thank you,
thank you very
people, for
much.
listening. Subscribe to Roham. Give him all of your money.
Indeed, Patreon.
Yeah, there you go. And I wish you an amazing day.
Thank you, Timo.